Let's talk about youth entrepreneurship. Cool thing here, Sam, the owner of Sam's Percolator, is 23 years old. I did not know that. I thought he was around 30 or something. But he's only 23. He's got this awesome spot, and he benefits a lot from activities downtown, obviously. And he's young, and he's doing cool stuff. And this is a trendy little place. I like having coffee here. Many people in the community do. What can we do to make it easier for people or encourage the youth in our community to kind of take those steps? I mean, if he's been here for 4 years, that puts him at 19. That's pretty young to start a coffee shop. That's pretty hard. But what can we do? What ideas you guys have to take steps towards something like that and encouraging the atmosphere for youth to get involved?
That's a good question. I think for youth that are not in Chatham-Kent, raising awareness about our low cost of living is a really good motivator, right? Because where you could be in Toronto, I know people who are at the same income level as my husband and I in Toronto living in 1-bedroom basement apartments, right? Yeah. So you can actually have a single income lifestyle in Chatham-Kent and get by while somebody's floating a business, right? The first 4 or 5 years of a business, I'm sure Sam can tell us, are the hardest, right? Like once you get through that hump, then you're kind of in the clear. So I think it's really encouraging that kind of conversation to attract people to start thinking about the business. And then I would say it's also about catching them young, right? Like I think entrepreneurship in a lot of ways is something that the older you get, the riskier it is, the more you have at stake to lose. You might have a family, you might have other commitments that you have. So if you can encourage young entrepreneurs that are fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, or fresh out of university, depending on where they are in their lifestyle, and look at different mentorship programs or opportunities for them to get involved, I think that's really a good potential. But it's a hard question.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I think there's a lot of programs out there that we're not aware of either. There's a lot of grants out there. There's a lot of money if you're trying to open up something downtown for facade improvements. There's a lot of money, but people just don't know about it. We have a lot of money at different levels that just aren't aware. So we have to be the kind of that stewardship for those people that want to take a path and risk everything. I mean, they could lose it all, but we need to help them know where to navigate them. They might be the greatest baker, they might be the greatest accountant, but they just don't know those other pieces to
I know the greatest coffee maker.
But they just don't know how to pull it all together, and I think as a community we have to facilitate that with them.
And a lot of it is encouraging that there's a chance, like especially when they're younger, they don't have as much to lose, right? And you get 40 or 50, you're like, well, I got too much to lose. I'm going to just stick with what's working. So what can we do to just kind of just push them, or a little bit more encouragement there?
Yeah, I think recognition is important. And you look, this year I went to the YMCA Youth Awards, and you've got these, dozen or so young people that are incredible, and you're getting them recognized by the community for what they've already done in the community. And you get to hear about their plans. And I'm surprised to hear so many of them talk about wanting to come back to Chatham-Kent, having that connection, and looking at opportunities in the future. So I think that road of recognition is important to say that, hey, we value you. We want you to go and do what you need to do, but we want you to think about Chatham-Kent wherever you are, and if there's an opportunity, we want you to come back. So I think that's an important aspect, and so is mentoring. So I think that may not always be a municipal responsibility, but I think the municipality can have a role in helping facilitate, through the small business center and some other assets, some of that mentorship. And I know, thinking about this place, when I first opened up my practice, a bunch of healthcare providers throughout Chatham-Kent, Tilbury, Blenheim, Wallaceburg, a group of about 20 of us used to meet once a month. We'd rent out Sam's for a very reasonable price, and we'd meet up. We talk about ideas, we talk about referrals, and that helped everyone build their business. And that was something that lasted for, it had a shelf life, a year or two before everyone was kind of going their separate ways. But everyone went their separate ways because it had served its purpose. We had busy practices and had already made those connections. So I think that allowing people to see others that have done what they want to do, and that have some of those pearls of wisdom, so to speak, to help them along the way is important. And there's ways to facilitate that, and that's not a big thing that a lot of people are going to see and you can point to. It's not bricks and mortar, but it's important in helping people be successful and get to stay here.
I think we should showcase some of the great things that we do have, that people that have been successful. Look at Rob Myers with RM. Then you got Mike Kilby with Dashcore that went from 25 employees to 250 employees. Then you got people like Sam. They're all an integral part of the community, and they're all great wins no matter what for our towns. So I think we should showcase these amazing stories that we do have of people that have put all their it on the line and made a successful life out of it.
Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one thing the municipality can do, so entrepreneurship is a huge, broad topic. It encompasses pretty much anything and everything.
And gives us a ton to talk about.
But the way that we can help is understanding the differences. So what are the ideas that are coming forward? What are people thinking about? And what are the needs that the municipality can supply in terms of, if I'm starting up a business and the crowd that I'm looking to attract, there's demand there, but they have difficulty getting to my place of business. And I can't open up shop close to them because of the way the bylaws are set up. And we don't have transportation set up in the municipality. Well, my business is going to flop because I can't get my customers to my place of business. And if it is a brick and mortar store, that's essential. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
Yeah.
But if the ideas are mostly online businesses, what the municipality can do is very different, right? We can help facilitate the kinds of awareness that you're talking about in terms of promoting that style. And it's us as the municipality taking it upon itself to get ahead of all of these trends and make sure that we stay aware of what's happening so that we don't fall behind, so that when industry moves in a certain direction, we're not stuck here going, oh, well, we should have invested in this type of infrastructure to help with this kind of expansion. We need to stay on top of where industry is moving, where the ideas are, what people are looking into. There's a lot of people that are in other municipalities, they have these pop-up stores.
Yeah.
And so this is something where, there's a lot of empty space downtown. This is something that we have. There's lots of people. That's where all of our buses end up.
Right.
This is a great opportunity for people who want to start a pop-up store. But if that's where it's going, we need to make sure transportation is coming to this place and that it's coming at the times when people want to go there. So it doesn't make any sense to have all your buses running when everybody's at work, and then you've got a business who's like, well, I need to be open during these hours, but the buses don't run during these hours. So those are the things that I think that the municipality can do to help facilitate that kind of entrepreneurship.
Awesome. What about an incubator? I think we had one
Ground floor.
ground floor. And incubators are great. Well, Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo area has a bunch. Toronto has a bunch. What can we do? I know the municipality can't start an incubator, but we can create the atmosphere for it. Can we do something like that? Or what do we do to kind of create that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because technically We Tech Alliance, that's based out of Windsor, is also supposed to be Chatham-Kent's incubator. They do some events in Chatham, but I'd really like to see us push more for more services coming Chatham way because it is very, Windsor-centered. You see small incubators in really creative or non-traditional ways popping up in communities. So I was actually just talking to a business owner one day recently, and I thought he had 2 or 3 businesses renting out kind of like a warehouse space. He told me there was something like 21 different business tenants in that area, just not all of them had signage, and they stay for a long time because they're cost sharing the overhead space and they're cost sharing the rent, and they're so I think we have them. They're just not as trendy or publicized or as Main Street as what the ground floor was. And it's largely driven through networks of businesses, through the BIAs and through the communities that are talking, because I hear a lot, I know in Tilbury and Wheatley and Merlin, that there are empty spaces on the Main Street. They're not affordable for a new business to start and rent out, right? So they're always looking at collaborations for how they can rent those spaces.
Awesome.
Does the municipality take a look right now at certain buildings and set them up as an incubator? Or?
There's nothing official that I've looked at. I do know privately of someone who's talked about that with respect to an arts type incubator. So looking at artists sharing some space, people in the creative economy, and they approached economic development about it, and the answer to that is, hey, if you want to do it, we're going to help you. So I think that, and I think it does have to have that grassroots flavor to it, where you have some private individuals who are passionate about it, and there's plenty around here that are looking to make that a reality, and then you have to have the municipality on board to facilitate some of that, to say, to your point, to say yes, to say, okay, here's the things you're going to need to do, here's where we can help you, here's how we can help in promotion it, and here's the doors that we can open.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And to your point earlier, right, we don't have dollars. It's not like the municipality is this cash card that's like, you've got an idea, here's some money, you've got an idea, here's some money, right? But it's about facilitating the conversations, right? So here's the program funding streams you can look at, or here's the different initiatives that we have going on. Here's somebody that did it right and that the small business center knows about that they can connect you to, right? Like I think some of those informal cultural enablers are sometimes just as or close to being valuable as hard cash.
Yep.
And the more we get involved, the more we understand what do we have that's currently preventing this type of stuff from taking place in the first place, right? Like the more that we're participating in those conversations, the more we realize the barriers that people are running up against.
Yeah.
And that's something we can actually work on. Right? We can reduce those.